Hello, my name is Jessica Coulter, and I am the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. Today I'm going to talk to you about simple predicates and simple subjects. So if you have a elementary student, probably in upper elementary or maybe even a middle schooler, and you've got an assignment you guys are trying to figure out together, then I am hoping to help you out and make this a very simple and easy task for you guys to complete. And if you are a student, then I am going to show you a bunch of different examples that you might be seeing on your homework, and that way you'll be ready for your test. So thank you so much and hope you enjoy. Okay, first thing we need to talk about is the subject. So the subject is going to be who or what the sentence is about. Now, if you're working on an assignment that just asks for the subject, that means you could be looking for multiple words. You could have some adjectives, you could have a person's name, you could have some details about the location. So that is a subject. And normally it's going to be at the beginning of a sentence, but as the sentences get more complicated, as in my last example, it might not be at the beginning of the sentence. That's something else to keep in mind. When I'm looking for a subject, I'm looking for a noun. So a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. It's probably a word you've heard your current teacher or a past teacher talk about, one of the parts of speech. So when I'm looking for the subject, I'm going to look for a noun, and that one noun by itself, which is what the sentence is all about, is going to be my simple subject. But if I'm looking for the subject, which is, like I said, multiple words, there's going to be a noun and there's going to be some other words nearby. So now we've got the subject figured out. Okay, so now we know what a subject is. Now we need to figure out what the predicate is. So the predicate is what the subject does. Now the way we figure out where the predicate in the sentence is we have to look for a verb. So we've got to look for an action that the subject does. So now you might not be aware, but there are three types of verbs. There's action, helping, and linking verbs. Now I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I just want you to realize that when we look at the examples and what you might be working on in your homework or on your test, you might not see a word that is an action. You might see something like is or was, and those are a different type of verb. Okay? Those are linking verbs. Now something else to keep in mind. So today we're going to focus on simple subjects and simple predicates. And just like simple subjects, simple predicates are just going to be one word. But predicates are going to contain verbs. Okay, so if I want to look for a predicate, I need to find a verb, and everything after the verb is going to be part of the predicate. And the simple predicate is just going to be one word. It's going to be the verb that the subject does. Okay, so now we've got our definitions down. We know what a subject is. We know what the predicate is. Now we need to know some steps to go ahead and actually start looking at some examples. So the first step where we are trying to figure out the simple subject and simple predicate is to separate the subject and the predicate. So you might have an assignment currently, or maybe one you've done in the past, that all you had to do was separate the subject and predicate. So that's a little easier than what we're going to do today, because today we're going to take it one more step and look for just for one word for the subject and one word for the predicate. So for today, and even in the past, if all you're doing is looking for subject and predicate, you're going to look for that verb, and then you're going to draw some kind of line. So I'm going to draw those forward slashes, and I've got an example for you here on the screen. And once we've separated the predicate and the subject, then I'm going to identify the noun and the verb. Because like we said, the subject is a noun and the predicate is a verb. And just a tip for you, on those more complicated sentences, you might need to rewrite those. Because if you rewrite them so the subject's at the beginning and the verb's at the end, it will probably be a little easier to figure out simple subject and a simple predicate. Before we move on to some examples, just want to let you know, for any students and parents of students who want one-on-one help, we would love to work with you. Just schedule a lesson at acecookie.com/book online. There you can pick a date and time that works best for you. We'd love to work with you in person or even online through Zoom. So thank you so much, and we'll move on to an example. All right, here is example number 1. And the example is, Bob ate the sandwich for lunch. So now before we can separate the subject and the predicate, we've got to identify the noun that the sentence is about and then the verb, so what the subject did. Now I've got it for you here on the screen. The noun is Bob. Okay, so Bob is what the sentence is all about. Now the verb, so that's going to be in my predicate, is ate. So Bob ate. So now that we've got the subject figured out and then we've got the predicate figured out, I can go ahead and draw my line. So go ahead and put that forward slash between Bob and ate. Now I'm also going to color code it for you to make it even easier. So subject is in red and then the predicate is in blue. Now the last thing we need to do, so we're making this a little harder than an assignment that just asks for the subject and the predicate. We're going to go ahead and figure out what the simple subject is. So this one's pretty easy because I only have one word in the subject. So that means Bob is my simple subject. Now as to the simple predicate, it's a little harder because there's more than one word. So I have to look at the whole predicate, which is in blue, ate the sandwich for lunch, and I have to decide what the verb is. Okay, so we said the verb is ate. Now a way to double check and make sure we identified the right simple predicate and we identified the right verb is to do a little test. So I can say Bob ate, and then I can say Bob sandwich, and I can say Bob lunch. So the only thing that makes sense for Bob to do is for Bob ate. Because you and I can both eat, and then in the past it would be Bob ate. Okay, or you and I ate. So we finished example number 1, so we're ready to go to example number 2. Okay, here is example 2. Once upon a time, 3 little pigs lived on a farm. So here is the separation of the subject and the predicate. So we got once upon a time, 3 little pigs. That's in red, so that is my subject. And then to the right of the forward slash in blue, I have the predicate, and the predicate is lived on a farm. So you've probably noticed in this example and the last example that the simple subject and the simple predicate are right next to each other. So pigs is my simple subject because pig is a noun. And we had to decide what the pigs were doing, and that is my simple predicate. So the pigs lived. So all I did is I ignored all of the words in the subject that weren't a noun and weren't what the sentence was about. Okay? Because 3 and little are adjectives, so those aren't nouns. And then once upon a time doesn't have anything to do with what the sentence is about. Alright, so we are done with example 2, and like I said, I'm color coding subjects in red, predicates in blue, just to make it easier on you. Okay, here is example number 3. Suzy loves her puppy named Ollie very much. So we're going to go ahead and do that first step and separate the subject and the predicate. And so we're going to have the subject in red, which is Suzy, and then we've got that predicate, and that's in blue, loves her puppy named Ollie very much. So hopefully you're starting to see that pattern. So we're going to say our simple subject, and hopefully you're going to agree with me here, and it is Suzy. So now we've got to figure out that simple predicate. This one's a little harder because there's a bunch of words there, so we've got to look at it carefully. That predicate in blue, loves her puppy named Ollie very much, and decide what the verb is. We've got to decide what Suzy did. So here you go. The simple predicate is loves. Okay, now we've done an example that has a tough subject. It had a whole bunch of words and we had to narrow down and figure out just the one noun that the sentence is about. And this example had a whole bunch of words in the predicate, so you had to figure out the one verb the sentence was about. So now that you've got that down, I think you're ready for an even tougher problem. We hope you're enjoying this video, and if you need help with any other subjects, maybe you're struggling in math too, or maybe English is not your subject, we do have other tutorials. Just go to the link on your screen, acecookietutoring.com/tutorial, and there you'll find a wide variety of free videos that you can watch. And if you're looking for a particular subject and we haven't made one yet, we would love to help you out. Just put a comment down below the video. Let us know what kind of resource you would love to see, and we would love to create that tutorial for you. And any questions or anything else that you'd like us to know, again, feel free to comment or even send us an email, and that will be in the description of the video. So thanks so much, and we'll go on to the next example. Okay, this is example number 4. I told you this one was going to be a little harder, so let's see if you can figure it out. Example number 4 is the school bus is yellow. Alright, so I reminded you at the beginning of the presentation that not all verbs are action verbs. So hopefully you can look at this and you're wondering, what did the school bus do? So the tricky thing about this example is the fact that we have a linking verb. Our linking verb in this example is the word is. So now that I know what the verb is, I can go ahead and do what I have been doing and separate the subject and the predicate. I've got the school bus is the noun, so that's going to be in red, and then is yellow, that's my predicate. So what I've got to decide is the one word that is a simple subject. So I've got the school bus. So now you might be thinking, kiddos, that school is a place and the bus is a thing. So all I want is bus. Simple subject is bus. As to the simple predicate, we just have to decide what the bus did. So in this case, what the bus did is. So that is my verb, my simple predicate. This one's a little tougher because there wasn't an action word. We just had to realize that is a type of verb. It just doesn't have an action. Alright, and you can find a list of all those different linking verbs on my website, and you can also find them online if you don't know what those are. Okay, so we're going to make it even harder in example number 5, so I hope you're ready. Okay, here's the last example we're going to talk about, and it's probably also the hardest. So example number 5, running quickly, did he get to the store on time? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and separate this like I always do. I'm going to find the noun, that's the subject, and then I'm going to find the verb, that's the simple predicate. Okay, so I'm going to separate he and get. Now, if you struggle with that, to be able to look at the sentence and figure out what the subject is or what the verb is, you can rewrite the sentence. So it might be to do like I did in green and rewrite the sentence to, did he get to the store on time? Running quickly. So it has all the same words in there. All I did is I changed the order. So that phrase, running quickly, I moved to the end of the sentence. And so for some of you guys, that might be easier to go ahead and rearrange so that the subject, he, is towards the beginning of the sentence, whereas the verb get is towards the end. And like I said earlier, it's to the right of the subject. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the original example just so you can see the way it looks. So running quickly did he is the subject, and then in blue we've got get to the store on time. So you could do the same thing with the rewrite, but just know that if on your assignment or on the test your teacher's got the first original example for number 5, you're going to want to keep it in that order so you know and so she knows that you know how to do it correctly. So the last steps here to figure out the simple subject. The simple subject is the word he, because we had running quickly did he, so we had to decide what the sentence was about or who it was about. Running quickly is not a noun, it's not a subject. So now let's figure out the simple predicate. So that simple predicate is the word get. So we had to decide what he did. So he get, he store, he time. So that's our little test again. So the only verb we had was get. Alright, that is the toughest and last example. So if you need to, I might go ahead and re-listen to the slide, maybe even write a practice sentence or two of your own, and see if you can identify the subjects and the predicates. Well, that is everything I have for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something, and that if you're working on an assignment now or in the future about simple subjects and simple predicates, that I've made it very easy for you. So if you are working on an assignment, or maybe you're still struggling a little bit and need some one-on-one help, maybe in person or maybe online right now, I'd love to help you out. Just go ahead and go to my website, www.acecookie-tutoring.com/book online. And if you are looking for other videos like this, or maybe some other resources, feel free to go onto my website as well, www.acecookie-tutoring.com/shop. And finally, I also have an email list. So if you would like to join that and maybe get my monthly newsletter in your inbox, or keep up to date with Ace Cookie Tutoring, as well as anything I feel like I would like to share with you guys, your monthly specials, upcoming events, anything fun like that, I'd love to have you email, and I'd love to get you on that list. So again, thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that as a student you are prepared to keep working on your English, your language arts skills, and if you're a parent, you need a refresher. I hope I made this simple for you, and hopefully a little enjoyable too. So thank you so much again.